Okay, the time is 6:01. We're going to call the meeting to order. If I could get a motion to approve the 11-12 meetings.
Motion.
Jenny, can we get a second? Second. Okay, so we have adopted the 11-12. Were there any questions, comments? Okay, can I get yeas, nays, hands for yay? Yay. Abstentions? Okay, common consent, we will approve the minutes for 11-12 meeting. I get a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Motion.
Moved by Jenny. Second? Second by Artie. Okay, are there any changes, comments for today's agenda? All in favor of approval? Opposed? Okay, so let's get into our public comments. The Board Advisory Committees views public comments as an opportunity to hear concerns. One moment.
I mean, I really wasn't going to speak. I just wanted to share an article. Right now? Okay. Do I need a microphone?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll be okay.
But give us, we're gonna read about the process for public comment.
Okay.
And then we'll have you, thank you.
So the Board Advisory Committees view public comment as an opportunity to hear concerns of the public, with the understanding and expectation that it is not considered a question and answer platform with the Board Advisory Committee members. Consequently, the Board Advisory Committee members will not provide a response to the public comment presented in its meeting or by submission of a written comment, although they may follow up with the individual as appropriate. In order to have an orderly presentation of comments by the public and to maximize opportunity for the public comment, students, individuals, and organization representatives shall be limited to 2 minutes for the public comment. When the timer sounds, you'll be asked to complete your sentence. And you can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Nathan Foltz. I grew up in Middletown, and the Middletown basketball has a long history. And on Broad Street and Linden Boulevard, my granddad's barn was there, and there was 12 individuals that they made this thing called the Easter Egg Classic. Well, just within the past 10 years, I learned that one of the individuals was an African American, and his name is Gerald Palm. And I wondered why my dad never told me this story. And my dad was older than these boys, and I think he, in a nice way, Gerald Palm was another one of the neighborhood boys. So I had the article going around, it's from 2015, but basically, African American history in Middletown, Braddock Heights, and Burkittsville exists. In Middletown, you had the Palm family, who this gentleman's from. In Braddock Heights, you had the Reeds and the Whites, and then in Burkittsville, you had the Hendersons. And basically, there was a barn, and I remember it vaguely at my grandparents'. I was the youngest of the grandchildren, and basically, Middletown has this thing called the Easter Egg Classic. And honestly, as a alumni and my granddad, I would like to talk to Middletown's coach, and then there's another individual, Ryan Jebbia. What I'd like to try to do is see if we can get a Gerald Palm Award for one of the individuals on the Middletown basketball team. And they have a Ryan Jebbia Award, and that's like for the best player. I just thought it would be neat, and that I was gonna contact the sports writers, and they can look at their archives. And I just think that it's very neat that an individual was one of the original fabric of these 12 boys that played on the side of the hoop of a barn. And like I said, the Palm family lived probably where Middletown Primary School is. But he even had, Gerald Palm had a sister, Roberta, and she was good too at basketball. They were twins. So Middletown had a very good basketball team that those boys played outside, and Gerald Palm's sister, twin sister Roberta, was also, so Middletown girls basketball has African American history as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that public comments, Mr. Foltz.
Oh, and there's an article coming around if anyone would like to see it. And you might have to turn into the other side where it lists the boys in the middle. And the gentleman's name was Gerald Palm. Well, it might say Robert in there, but he goes by Gerald.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to move over to our board member comments.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Good to see you all here. I don't have a ton of updates. December is kind of a slow month with the holidays and school closing, but I just want to put a couple of things on people's radar. It is budget season, which really never seems to end in the school system, but we are embarking on our new budget season and planning for next year. So Dr. Dyson will be releasing her recommended budget to the board during our, well, it'll be released next week, but we'll be discussing it during our board meeting next Wednesday, the 21st. And after that point, the following Wednesday, January 28th, the board will have our budget hearing here in this room, and it's an opportunity for members of the public to come in and provide public comment and speak about what they see as the budget priorities for the upcoming school year, so next school year. And then the board has a couple sessions where we'll discuss and plan and see what budget we want to send forward to the county executive and county council. And then shortly thereafter, we will hear back from them about what funding they have available for us. And then that usually leads to some additional budget meetings when we have to make some additional decisions about spending. The other thing that's happening that affects the budget and affects us as potentially as a district, of course, is the legislative session started today in Annapolis. We, as a board, and I think as a system, are hoping to see some potential legislative actions around the blueprint funding, which we're hoping to see some slowing down of some of the requirements in terms of the implementation because of the budgetary implications that we've been seeing within the school district. It's an election year, so I hear that maybe there is not a big appetite for introducing legislation to make those changes, but we'll see. It would be helpful for us because we've seen, obviously, as everybody has seen, an increase in inflationary costs that have a big impact on spending within the district, and there's no inflationary mechanism within the funding formula to account for that. So we'll see what happens during the legislative session, but we also anticipate not hearing much back from the state in terms of our final budget numbers until after the end of session and probably close to when we need to be making some decisions in April and May about our budget. So there's a lot of moving pieces. If you've been paying attention to anything happening at the state level with the budget, they're facing a pretty big deficit. Although the governor was here last week talking about increasing the investment in education as well as increasing the amount of funding for capital improvement projects, so school construction and renovation, and he committed a good amount to Frederick County to address our capital needs. But we'll see, again, what happens in the legislature and what the impact will be on us as a system. So there's a lot to be paying attention to in the next 90 days or so in Annapolis and potential impacts on us. But a lot of opportunities for folks to get involved and advocate too at the local level for education funding. The county executive, I think, is still doing her listening tour on to hear about budget priorities, and then the county council will have sessions as well. So if you have any interest in attending those or just advocating for school funding, keep your eyes out for those dates, and when I know when the county council hearing is, I can share that with you all as well, because it definitely helps to have people coming and speaking to the county council about the importance of investing in our kids. That's it for me for now.
Okay, so now can we have senior staff comments?
Okay, so, hello, everyone. So first, the announcement, we have a guest today. So we have our guest, Osreen Parker. So Osreen is a teacher specialist in our office today. So as we get involved with our activity today to review 117, Osreen will be helping us take notes and kind of keep track of the feedback that we received today. So wanted to make sure we knew who Ms. Parker was today. Also, the biggest thing on our plates right now, and we've been extremely busy, is planning and preparing for tomorrow's MLK celebration. So that is tomorrow at Governor Thomas Johnson High School at 7 p.m. We have a number of FCPS schools and students involved in tomorrow's celebration. We'll be also honoring an Equity Legacy honoree as well tomorrow. So if you are available tomorrow at 7 p.m., please come out to Thomas Johnson High School. It is always one of our favorite things to do every year. It is such a bucket filler. If you want to come see it, an amazing group of young people, they will be there tomorrow. So please come out to TJ at 7 o'clock.
And as we go through this evening, one of the primary things that we're going to do is get feedback from you on one of our policies, Policy 117. The policy committee has already started talking about that, and what goes back to them again, we do want to make sure that we get some feedback from this group so that the board policy committee and then ultimately the full board in May, I believe, will have your feedback regarding the policy. So we're excited about engaging in the discussion tonight and getting your feedback. And that's it.
Okay, so the meat and potatoes, let's review policy 117.
Hey guys. Quiet.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, so hello again. So we're going to talk about, as Dr. said, policy 117. So this policy will be up for review by the board.
And can we give the student member an opportunity to make any updates?
Well, actually, the reason we were late is because we were helping out with Ligonor's Multicultural Night, which is going to be happening tomorrow. So we had to cook Vietnamese food in the school cooking lab. So that's why we were late. But I guess those are my updates. I'm excited for MLK Night tomorrow, and I'm also hoping I can swing by Ligonor's too, which I've gone every single year to Ligonor's, and it's like really amazing. So all of you guys should go. The food's really good. I always rack up like 2 or 3 plates when I'm there. So yeah, because we made it. But it's a fun time. So I'm excited for tomorrow for all the events in FCPS. So thank you for the opportunity.
Cut you off. Okay.
You're all good. You're all good. All right. So we have reviewed policies and regulations before in this committee, and so we're doing the same thing for policy 117. So as policy 117 comes before the policy committee again, we would like to submit feedback on behalf of the Racial Equity Committee. In the same way that we've done in previous years with previous policies and regulations, we just like to do things in a bit of an order. So I'm going to hand out the policy to all of you. This policy, you can write on this, so feel free to write on this, and I'll give you the guidance that we've used in the past. So the protocol we've used in the past, so this is yours. Do not put your name on it. This is anonymous as far as the feedback that you give. But we will give you a strategy. It's called the ladder strategy, and you're going to identify some of the things that you would like to see changed, some of the things that you would, you're welcome, that you would like to see stay, that meaning to you. And then after we do this, we will take some time. I think we will break out into smaller groups to have that discussion today. And then we will have a session at the end where we all talk about the things that kind of rise to the occasion for each of our groups. And then I will collect all of these papers back, and that's part of what Osreen helped us with, is after all this is done, we will consolidate and collect the information. If you're wondering where this goes after this meeting, we do, I think you may have seen the previous document we created, and it literally lists all of your comments on the papers that we've handed out today, from on the policy document to also any general feedback that you've given, or even in the comment and discussion part. So we want to make sure that we are all inclusive with the responses and feedback that you give. So just know that these documents, we will collect them back at the end, and whatever you have written on here, we will make sure we've noted and taken account into it. When that's done, we will send this back to Ms. Gallagher and the executive board for the Racial Equity Committee and make sure that they have seen it. So if you see on this, the protocol that we have here. So if you have, well, hopefully you all have a writing utensil. If you don't, I'll get you a pen. If you don't, we'll get you one, okay. Okay, yes, you. I will get you a writing utensil, it's all good. So as you're reading the document itself, we're going to give you some time, and we're asking you to read it on your own. I know some people came in prepared with their own policy, already notated. I see Dana, thank you. So for those of you that already did that, but I do want to give you some time if you have not had time to read through the policy on your own, so I'll give you about 10 minutes to do that. And as you're reading, these 4 things I want you to think about. So, oh, yes. And then, yes. So what needs to be clarified to help you understand fully? So as you read through, if something's confusing and you're like, I don't quite understand that, just go ahead and circle it and make some notes on your paper. What do you value? Give detailed examples. I really like this because of this. So as you're reading the policy, if you're saying, I really like the fact that they address X, Y, and Z in this policy because it gives voice to something, make sure you note that as well, and you can put a star by that on the policy itself. What concerns do you have? I wonder if, or it seems to me, I'll just, like the last time we did this, people brought some language to light in this policy that just wasn't really aligned to where we are right now. So that really does, and that helps change the language we use in some of the other policies. The same thing here. Put the exclamation mark next to that language and write a brief note beside that and what you would like to see and why that concerns you for that language. The last thing is, what suggestions do you have for improvements? As you read through this policy, you can make a check mark and you can write it anywhere in here or on the back of this sheet, since I'll collect this. What suggestions do you have for this policy? I'll add to that phrase, what suggestions do you have? If this policy you believe is missing something, if you've seen this policy in action over the past, couple of years, and you're like, you know what, it's just missing something, feel free to just write a check mark next to it and say, this is what I suggest you add to the policy. Any questions about this? I'll give you about 10 minutes on this. If you need more time, we can give you more time on it. And then we will break up with either 2 or 3 people groups and compare what you have written down, and then we'll do a whole group discussion.
So is the audience parents?
Is the audience parents?
What do you call the audience of the policy? It's like, can you go to the FCPS website, click on the policy?
Yes. This is publicly accessible. Is that what you're asking? Yes.
Okay.
It is publicly accessible. It applies honestly to every FCPS stakeholder, if I'll say it that way. Yeah, so students, staff, and even if you're a member at a sporting event. So
Okay.
this applies to them. Yes.
Also to add, the policy provides direction to the superintendent in a very broad way of what the expectations are. The superintendent then in turn writes regulation that gives the specifics and the nuances about how this policy is going to be implemented. And so once the board passes this policy, then we'll get to writing, the superintendent and staff will get to writing on the regulation that really goes into specifics about this.
And there is an existing regulation that you can find on the website if anybody wants to look at it. I have my computer, you can pull it up.
maybe another 2 minutes, and then we'll put you together in groups. All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, since you've each had a chance to individually read over the policy, I'm going to ask you three if you can work together in a group, and Ms. Hammond, if you can work together with this group right here. Then I'm going to ask you four if you can work in a third group, okay? And so as you're working in the group, what I want you to do is just talk through each of the things that you had, that you want to clarify, the things you value, the things you concern, and some suggestions you had. If you could designate a scribe for your group, and so you have your individual sheets, and if you could have the scribe fill in a sheet on behalf of your team for something that was not necessarily reflected on the individual sheets. If there was an overwhelming consensus of something from your individual groups, please make sure it gets on your group sheet and just put group at the top. Are we okay with that? So,
I didn't write on mine, so I can describe.
Yeah, people like that.
I sort of try to reserve.
Oh, I was gonna say the nicest writing.
That's all.
My pen is like not in great shape, so I'm looking for another.
okay. I can run this. Do you want to start?
I didn't have anything under clarify, so I don't know if I can.
I didn't write anything down. The only thing that I felt is there is now a bias report.
Can we just start at the top? That way I can just keep
Not
everyone else.
clarify because it's new, I think. So there's a lot of references to the bullying, intimidation, and harassment. I do think in the policy we clarified what they're speaking about, like creating
Right here at the office.
because I've read their policy quite a few times. They were trying to like the regulation. I feel like the definition and the regulation are actually better than the definitions in the policy. So it might be something to clarify too.
The real measure. Any other clarifications? I was just like, value. I said I really like the policy statement. It really outlines the purposes of the policy.
The second.
Yeah, like how is that being measured?
Policies review
Yeah, thank you to that.
opportunity for necessary upgrades.
And then I had, under definitions, the first definition here, is it the commas and the breaks?
It's on the policy.
They have a lot of like making sure that it's. I know
I'd like to have, I didn't have any.
Yeah.
So I thought that one might have been
I
more.
tried to see if there was an update online, but there isn't, which I think.
So to me, it doesn't definition reads.
And that was 21, right?
Probably said, which was, they didn't put the
I had a comment about
I could have sworn.
In the reporting acts. So usually anytime you're using terms like that, because it's referenced throughout, you define it up
Is
front.
it referenced?
Suppose.
It does say,
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I don't think it's referenced. If it's referenced, that's really good. But if it's not referenced,
Concerns.
got it.
So I wonder
should have
if
just
high expectations under.
maybe I missed it. I
Maybe
don't know.
Well, no, I think you might be right.
say that because high expectations vary
No,
from.
I haven't looked at it, so I think if that's, just put on there, if not reference later, just bring
Like, oh no, I have high expectations for my students. But then when you dig deeper,
something about policies, like any definition.
definition of high
Later
expectations.
in the policy, that would be consistent.
Yeah, I may have missed it.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking of it as like it's a definition of racism, like maybe it just needs to be adjusted to be racism instead of institutional racism.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
You, the reporting acts of racism, you know, basically.
Hold on, I gotta write. I gotta
Oh,
write
sure,
down.
sure. Read it, easy access reporting mechanism.
I think that's under
And
concerns.
so that in second,
Suggestions, I was saying maybe we can include language about acts of racism that occur outside of the school but impact the culture or function of the school.
And then under
Like in the
culture.
beginning, where it says the board will tolerate any acts of racism in FCPS by staff, students, volunteers, or attendees. But one thing I'm seeing in school
you could
now
combine
is
it
like
with
group chats
second bullet that
that
would
happen outside of school.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is it doesn't really mention stuff that happens outside.
Yeah, it happens outside of school, but it comes into the school and impacts the culture of the school and things that happen in the school. So I'm wondering if there's something about that, because there could be some incidents that occurred that didn't happen on FCPS property that occurred on FCPS property.
For clarification, is something holistic in a couple places that I would say just like needs a cleaner term.
I got that too.
I saw that.
That not everyone may know what this, when I have to look it up. I'm like, wait, that's a problem.
Yeah, you can simplify that language.
These group chats are a big thing. You know, I'm an elementary school person.
To say like, I feel like, in Montgomery County.
So if it's there, it's
Some of it's like legalese, like write a certain way or structure or the like.
see their reactions.
I didn't know, like, more like.
Your comment led to my question, like who's the audience, and if it's everybody, some of these words, and I have a,
And I do agree with you saying about the definitions.
Should these serve as a documentary?
Anything else for clarification? Because I know you had, or did we already cover?
you covered mine.
I think we're clarified, no.
Star.
No, because, I guess because I'm small, I have to choose MLK night, and then I'll try to go to Lincoln's, yeah. Because I RSVP'd for MLK. And I've never been.
Started on the first page, right? Like structural and institutional barriers.
I really like that, too. I'm just like,
What's that?
I'm seeing
5:30. You should maybe go grab a plate of food first.
And then I'll bring you guys.
And then bring me some very good.
So
Absolutely forgot.
well, we had to cook these bananas that were like cooked in a frying pan. We cooked Vietnam.
No, it was Thailand.
I actually did something and I haven't.
I tagged along. I didn't.
Stars with the same
It
thing.
was like we caramelized them with like sugar. We didn't use white sugar, powdered sugar. You're supposed to use regular sugar.
So it
You were
didn't
supposed to
work.
use you were supposed to use butter. We used coconut oil. So those are already the first two steps that were wrong. But so
We also forgot.
we
Yes. No, after.
we
It was-
caramelized it. We also had a bunch of coconut milk and honey, and I was like, what are we supposed to use those for?
After we were done.
That was a crucial part of it. So we had to, we had to
You
go,
didn't put it in it the first time? Oh, no.
so we had to go back with that part. And
It
then
ended up being.
and then one of the science teachers said, oh, go put it in my classroom fridge. And I take it off, I put it in the wrong classroom's fridge, the one that had like E. coli or whatever in it.
Oh, my goodness.
To get out. I took it out. And when
It's
I
the
was
fruit we use
You know what? Never mind about that point of
But
food.
I know, right?
But it gets worse. It gets worse.
Guilty first.
It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse.
I've never gone to MLK things, so I'm going
It gets worse.
Yeah,
I
it's
take out all of the plates. I got like 10 plates.
Were first mentioned up
together for all of the coconut milk concoction
No, it
pours
was like
down my
sugar.
shirt. Caramelized sugar pours down my shirt. So I have to get
Cooking's not your thing.
it's whenever we're together, bad luck
Oh,
happens.
that one is. That's the
There's the
combination.
policy that it sets up.
Well, if you can go there with
Which, like,
Okay. So I can hit both.
No, it's actually 5. I checked the email.
Oh,
It's 5 o'clock?
Oh, you'll have plenty of
We
time.
have to get there. It's either at 4:30.
never.
Should I tell them the grape story?
I'm like, I've never gone to the MLK thing, so I already planned to go.
Oh, great.
I'm like, I gotta see this. So I was listening to him, I was like, ah,
I think it's something that came up in a previous.
so I'll be a basketball practice.
Creation of the flag and everything.
Really?
It's not like, here's what the rec does and why the rec does. Actually, in a policy that is not up for review yet. And so what's hard, like, you know, time it's, yeah, because like the here is through.
They keep hearing about it. I'm like, I gotta see this.
Cite, almost like a citation.
I don't know, I assume these other items are.
Just to clarify, the rec, like it's mentioned here, but it's never defined or anything here. That's in a whole nother policy, right? Oh, yeah.
A lot of performance, right?
And so adding something here so that people know, finding it or this is usually information about what that is.
I can only imagine. I was telling my friend we can do it at 6:30, so
So this one hasn't been available yet. So typically at the end on the 15th, they will put all of the
Okay, so it would be
associated
here.
policies back to, yeah, so that should end up being that. I'm sure that'll be.
There'll definitely be some like formatting updates too, like trying to streamline how like policies, like so they don't all look.
Okay, so that's a suggestion for
Combine.
Can I ask a quick question? And maybe I'm getting the two different things mixed up. I had here my notes to add intersectionality going to be under.
Animus or bias. So under racism and FCPS,
I know that came up.
the second to last sentence from the bottom. I was like, animus. I googled to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
It's implied.
Like,
For three. Keep it in there, so when
I'm like, I don't
so will be the
have any idea. I didn't.
basically to is to like our policies, right? And this is like the board saying we don't have an anti-racism.
The way this whole
What we do, usually it's policy committee, and like they literally deal with all the policies, but since this is racial equity,
I think it definitely
it goes to racial equity.
I understand like where they from policy that they want.
And they help kind of put all of our
The areas that they wanted across.
then they take all of our
And then they come out covered in regulations. I feel like.
then they send it to the board. And we say, hey, we don't like this, or we don't like this.
And that's the goal.
We change it again.
Lines and then,
And
You
that
keep
process
doing it until
how.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh, sorry, I was just saying that,
That doesn't even need to be.
that yes, I think we last year, I think we reviewed it plus 4.3.
Regulation says like.
the last time we did this, I want to do the last day.
This is really the high.
Yes, supposed to be the high level, like this is what we need done as a school system, as a board, as a policies. Stuff that,
That probably should be in the regulations.
That's all we have racism and FCPS. Going down. Intentional or unintentional.
West Virginia. What was his public? There's this guy who's like really against West Virginia, and he always comes to our board meetings.
I'm gonna send that today, I think, was similar to what he.
If that's all.
I do think that.
Which is hard to follow. Something about,
Definition of it, and then reference.
brought the newspaper article, I think,
To me, that does make
And
sense.
no, and again, I think
He wants us to the board meeting too?
last year, because that conversation on intersectionality was.
Okay. because I saw your mom names, I was like, I'm
Not mentioned here.
Comments first one in.
Really, I guess.
Right now, it was filed.
Say, hey, trying to do all these other things, and
West Virginia, that is.
It's gonna be a huge action here.
It's like, I should focus on.
intersectionality.
Yeah.
And then
Dean, the head of West Virginia Mafia all the time.
Yeah. So one of our members of West Virginia has like a report. People like rant about West Virginia.
She came over.
It's all over social
And
media.
he talks like, he does it talk about board
See
education.
anything else that talks?
Hey, this is something the county should do. I'm like, go to the county council. Why are you here?
that must be his thing.
A lot of people do that though.
Why? I don't understand.
We all know that. The rest of Maryland is good. That's the stone cold
What are you
truth.
gonna do?
Those directly.
those are.
Wise choice.
We got Chinese people.
It's Gender diverse. What grade is your son?
He's a sophomore.
Berkeley.
Except it's really sweet.
Because
No.
against it. It was like, I got the real ice cream. You have to eat it.
What stood out? I guess.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You'd be so fun to go to.
We were feeling good.
Yeah, okay.
I'd be wanting
You didn't have any kind
to see if they were playing bingo.
Okay, about 3 more minutes. So at 6:50, we'll come together as a whole group.
To me, I don't know why, but when I read it, it didn't seem outside this.
Can I go back to it?
To me, it sounded like a definition of duty rather than if I was an outside person.
Yeah.
I just think it was because of like it goes like that.
I think because ultimately, in terms of reporting transparency, it's saying, here's what thanks for the community should be able to know.
Oh, look at this.
In terms of reporting, it's like as a community member, I'm not.
Do you want to be the reporter person?
Yes, ma'am.
You can say no, but,
She said Cobb has like certificates.
I have like the thing class.
I don't know how much the people want us to go into.
But the
Please.
It's gonna be
It's literally
The other one that I wrote down, because she
And the format will
had it as a concern, and I think
see committees working on that anyway.
the how is,
the hunt, yeah.
you had the how is diversity being measured, I had the examined by who. It says that curriculum needs to be examined, but it doesn't say. I'm kidding. Control of racial diversity.
profited.
I don't know what I did with those. I don't have those. I think I burnt it.
Reviewing it.
Well, because I burnt the trash. So I can
Exactly.
Certificate.
Right, but different.
no, not a freshman year.
You can hit another thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was complaining that when are we supposed to be reviewing?
Is that gonna take?
No, because I went away. I'll drink it later. I'm drinking out.
To be explicit, saying, here's.
That's 7, yeah.
You're what? Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, before they switched for Dana.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Represented there to be able to.
Did you have any?
So that's good.
Maybe this is intentional. I don't know.
You can take it on your last day.
I think it's 50
Years, yeah.
Okay. I don't like the first paragraph. Front. I see a front. I see eradicate.
So they probably
In my opinion, these are.
Or you guys, you know.
Loaded. Maybe.
I like my.
I thought I knew what a front was, but I had to look it up. I don't know. It comes across, it can be almost confrontational. I don't know what others feel about that.
Don't tempt you.
Or with an edge or something like that.
They say like eliminate racism and like that's different. Never.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know why it's like. Is there like a limit on something that's
Well, I think that's the
Dream
whole. It will be, but I know that it's the, I know.
I mean, how else to state it, I don't know. I just think those
That
words
is, that is the goal. Yeah, that's. But yeah, I think that less confrontational, plain language.
Are you still thinking about that?
I don't want to know.
I would take the seal. We need a new seal. It smells like
Well, it's like eliminate.
I'm sure we could get like a white one.
For sure.
Like Malcolm would do it for us.
And the goal is
I've never had a committee, and then we'll have to.
We say sixth grade, but yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, I feel like if you found a replacement for writing program, then
I don't know. I might get in trouble. They found it.
It's 6:50.
we're nonprofit.
Okay.
Congress.
We're holding, I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
So
I'll take one of the cameras.
we are writing programs.
I think those are fairly expensive.
Front, I think that for sure. Where one is every school
Planning your exit.
site will involve
Yeah.
He's planning what he's going to send to.
that to foster.
There's something here I know I can take.
Maybe don't say it out loud.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
And if a camera goes
I
missing,
don't know, but that's not a big deal.
also you'll be on camera.
West Virginia.
So,
Yeah, I'll be West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
gone off the rails.
I know you guys are like deep into it, I'm sorry.
Well, are we giving you all of these, or you are only gonna look at what we?
I like all of them.
Okay.
What we've done in the past is we legit take all of them, and we are teachers, and so we can read any handwriting that's on the We can read all the handwriting, so we do consolidate.
Trying to like get everything over.
No, you don't have to transpose it, that's all good, we'll get it on one document.
Who's our scribe?
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so as you met in your groups, just to talk through this, overall, I'll start with the general comments. Any overall general comments or just sentiments that rose to the top as you worked within your group and talked to your group?
I'd say one of, I think, our frequent things that came up in all this section is trying to make it more plain language, that we recognize that this is illegal. It's written mostly like lawyers or by lawyers, but trying to bring some of the language to more plain language, things like pluralistic or affront, especially if we're trying to make it accessible to people that English is not their first language or with disabilities. And there are tools for that now to be able to like plug it in and it'll rewrite it into plainer language.
Because this is a document for the public.
Yeah.
So overall, comments?
We talked about how great it is that it's supposed to be looked at annually. But we look at the date, it doesn't.
And here we are now. We're doing it now. We're getting back on track.
It's a new year.
Yes, but to look at it annually, to update language and things of that sort. Okay, so with that, so what needs to be clarified in the document? And I hear Jenny saying some of the language, of course, but overall, so what would you say needs to be clarified? As you read the document, is anything confusing or you're just unsure about something?
I didn't mention this in our group, but exactly what does this mean? Educational outcomes should not be predictable by actual or perceived race and demographics.
Are you asking me to answer that, or are you just
Yeah, I
asking to
am.
be clarified?
Yeah, I actually, if I'm putting you on the spot.
So what that means is right now, we have what people would call an achievement gap. And so when I'm looking at achievement data, you can make a prediction about a student's academic outcome based on certain student demographics. So for us, whether it's socioeconomic status, for example, what we're saying is for that student demographic, we should not be able to predict their level of achievement based on a demographic. But unfortunately, right now, there is too much of a correlation between a student's demographics and their achievement data, as well as sometimes discipline data. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It's just plain language.
Yeah. So we would prefer for it to not have a correlation, right? So it should not have a correlation, but yeah. If you want to put that down, like just as to say clarify the language or make it plain language right there, you already like highlight it, underline it, if that's not clear, but that's what that language means. What else needs to be clarified?
We had a few points. So like restorative practices, we were asking what those are. And a lot of the things that we asked for clarification around, Sabrina said, oh, they're in the code of conduct. But it'd be nice if it referenced that and said, there's some areas that do say, look at this or look at that. But we pointed out a few areas where there are terms used that are defined in the code of conduct or better explained in the code of conduct, but if you were just reading it, you wouldn't know that without that intrinsic knowledge.
Gotcha. And did you highlight or circle
Yes.
circle those things?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Similarly, just to piggyback on your comment about the definition, and I know we just spoke about this, like the role of this committee, because we do reference it. Yes, it may be captured in other policies, but I think the reader may not know that other policy, right? So if we're discussing a specific committee, I think it is important for us to define, one, who we are, and that could be quick, and also what the role of this committee is. I think that would be helpful, because if I'm reading this and if I'm new to the county, and I've never been in a county where there's a equity committee, or maybe just, like the header may be different for that cohort, and that would help to clarify quite a bit.
So when they reference the racial equity committee, if after that they said per or pursuant to, like, I forgot what it is, like, policy.
Yeah, because we're doing that in other, because we do reference other policies too. Similarly, just when we reference our committee, and to ensure our, it's not, what is our role? That to me was really important. It is to review, it is to recommend, it is to help provide guidance. And I think that can all be captured. There's nothing that can be really sharp. But that's captured here.
Right.
I mean, so those things that you're talking about is outlined in a specific policy, board policy, and so it can't be succinctly done here, then definitely making a reference to
that policy.
To that policy,
Yeah.
where the roles are defined, the racial equity committee.
And then to the same point, and we had it as both clarification and concerns about where it talks about curriculum, diversity, and being examined, potentially adding more clarification, unless that's in a different policy about how is diversity being measured, who is doing the reviews, assigning responsibilities so that it doesn't fall through the cracks.
If the reader is online, right, because that's where they're finding them. I can't remember, are the policies hyperlinks?
For the ones that have been frequently recently updated, yes.
Oh, okay.
They're hyperlinked. And if you have a policy that's been updated, maybe last year, so at the end, it'll say related policies and regulations. And for the most part, they're all listed there, and they're typically like hyperlinked on the back at the end. So whenever this one's updated this year, I'm assuming it'll have the same level of references at the end with the associated.
In the body of.
I'm sorry?
They don't hyperlink in the body.
I don't believe they're hyperlinked inside the body.
The new ones are.
Oh, are they okay?
Yes, they're hyper.
Online it is, because I read it before I came here, and they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, Denise.
Another clarification we brought up was that the hate bias form is not in there, but we would want to link it to where it talked about bullying, harassment, and intimidation.
Okay.
We had that too.
All right, as far as what do you value? So as you looked at this document, you said, I really like this because, or I really want to make sure this lives in this document. If they're going to make changes, we really value this. So what would you say you value in this document?
I love the policy statement because it outlines the purpose of the policy clearly, but especially including eliminating structural and institutional barriers.
The team starred all the places where it was very clear the data-driven decision-making or expectations, and add those things explicitly, like this is the data that will be collected and this is how it will be reported.
So you said you highlighted those. Did you actually articulate that this is the reason why you liked it, because it was data-driven? You did, okay. Thank you. 'Cause I forget, so thank you, okay. What else did you value in?
We also, the identifying, tracking, and eliminating discrepancies, because it's not just a policy, there's also metrics and the tracking. We appreciate.
Thank you. What else did you value?
We also did the definition of racism in FCPS, that it equated to a failure. I think when you label something as a failure, you put a mark on it that that's something you're going to improve on. So I think it was pretty powerful that established that it is a failure that.
All right, so what concerns you, and I think you've heard some already, but anything else that rises to the occasion? So what concerns you about? Yeah. Concerns?
I don't know if this is regulation or policy, but I wondered under culture, where it talked about high expectations, if it shouldn't have been defined, just because thinking of it like as a principle. Like when I ask a teacher about high expectations, everyone has a different definition of what they believe that means. And I don't know if that's too specific.
Are you looking at bullet 4?
Under culture.
Yes, under culture, are you looking at bullet? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also noted that too.
Got it, okay. So when you look at that promote high expectations, are you wondering if that's academic or behavioral, or are you just saying it's just too broad in general?
Yeah, and what does it mean within this document?
Okay.
But like I said, I don't know if that is the regulation part, or is that really speaking in this?
And you just I hadn't caught that one in this one, but you just made me think of when you did our school improvement plan and reviewed, we did a similar thing where rewriting it to be like students will achieve to the best of their ability, so that it's more inclusive, because high expectations, when you're talking about kids with disabilities, their high expectation is not necessarily the same as.
Thank you. Any other concerns? How about suggestions? So what could be improved with this policy? What can be improved?
We captured, here that the policy articulates strongly our values and expectation. I think we could probably improve into accountability in terms of just enforcement language, you know, who is being held accountable, how are we enforcing some of that accountability, and regardless of if it is a parent, if it is a teacher, you know, adult versus just, you know, student to student. So I think it just stronger accountability language, I think would be helpful.
Thank you.
We had for under curriculum, for the bullet 2 and 3, we were thinking that if one was implied, so if the materials will reflect cultural and racial diversity, it would be assumed that they're examined for, you know, racial bias, and like one would be almost like it's implied.
So do you,
So what I wrote in my notes is that maybe those are combined, because it's one implies the other, logically. And then also we had, so similar, this kind of goes back to the clarification part, but we wrote something like, about like animus, just the language for just the general public. And then what is a community partner group? So we were trying to figure out if that's a defined group, like, do we have a list of community partner groups? Can anyone be a community partner? So what is the definition of that?
I'm sorry, where do you see that language for the community partner? Which one?
Expectations.
Under,
Okay, I'm on the page.
under attention, collaboration, and action, the first, last one.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha, okay.
And with that, so as far as the regular candid and action-oriented discussions of race, when it says the board will engage, is that something, what is that? Is that, every meeting? Is that only when reviewing the policy? And also, is that something that we should have a representative from? If it is something that is a regular, calendared conversation, is that something that the board should be a part of, or at least, not the board, I'm sorry, the committee, or at least a representative from the board?
So is your recommendation to build in a timeline here, or the expectations for frequency?
What is it? Right, so we'll engage in regular, what is?
What is regular?
Yeah, what is regular?
I think somewhere in there you put something twice a year or biannually.
Any other suggestions? Denise?
Under the purpose, the sentence that starts, "The board will not tolerate." I was wondering if we should then include language about acts of racism that occur outside of the school but impact the culture or function of the school. I'm thinking like group chats, that's a really big thing right now. Kids are talking about things outside of school that's not on school grounds, not at a school function, but because of that, it comes into the school and we have to deal with it, so.
Yeah, one of the, thanks, that's a great comment and suggestion. One of the things I'm thinking about is we're having a discussion regarding our discrimination and our bullying, harassment, intimidation. As a matter of fact, I believe that's coming up at the next policy meeting, maybe. And we're having the same discussions about what goes where. Because we do have it in there about acts that occur outside that impacts the school environment. So does it go there? Does it go in bullying, harassment, intimidation? Does it go in discrimination? Does it go in educational equity? Does it go in anti-racism? So that's a constant discussion that we're having. We just had a big discussion about that yesterday.
Good call out. All right. Any other suggestions for the policy?
Under curriculum, just, the second bullet point says, particularly those in historically underrepresented groups of color. I don't know, it just didn't sound. So I'm just saying, we edit to particularly those part of historically underrepresented communities. Groups of color, I circled groups of color because I had to reread that. I'm still rereading it to try to understand groups of color.
And you noted that on the paper, on this, okay.
Your language again was what?
Particularly those part of historically underrepresented communities.
Any other suggestions for
Yeah, I
policy?
just wrote this down. Rehearse to run the document through ChatGPT. Work smarter, not harder.
Bubbling tools.
I don't think that was around in 2020.
It wasn't around in 2020.
Wasn't here in 2020.
It is today, so.
Thanks, Dana.
We'll actually language it for you.
And we talked about everything, Dr. Harris alluded to it, so we have to remember that our policy is the what, and then once we get into the regulation, that's the how. So that's part of what we also have to do. There are certain things that we would like to see happen when this is implemented in schools, so we really have to draw the line of the what, like the aspirational what from the board and the expectations from the board, and then once we know what the board expects, then it does translate over to the staff, then creating the regulation, and that's the how we will enact what the board has outlined as the expectation. So some of that comes into some of the things you guys talked about today. Any other comments about policy 117? I don't know when this is back on policy committee. I didn't find this today, but
It's in May. Yeah.
So it is coming back up. So what we will do once we have these documents, as I said, so we're going to collect them. Again, you don't have to put your name on it, please don't. We will gather all of the information. What we typically do is we have a capture sheet, and so anything that you recommended for the purpose, we'll have a sheet that says purpose and all recommendations for purpose. The same thing for policy statement, and we'll break it all down in that way to one document. We'll combine that, we will send it to Gallagher and also the executive committee, so you can review that. I would say you can do with it what you want at that point. If you want to bring it back to the Racial Equity Committee and say this is what you presented, and you can get a second look at it if you want to. I would just say this, as many of us, sometimes you see something the first time and you'll go home and you'll see it again, you're like, oh wait, I should have said this, or I should have added that. We want to give you a chance to do the same thing. Any last comments about policy 117? Any comments? Back here, do you want to add anything before we wrap up with the?
No, thank you so much for your, your comments.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it is always, your feedback is always well received by the board committees, and they really take the information and incorporate it.
I'm on the policy. So these are my notes for me to go back.
We looked at policy 444 here. Okay, all right,
We looked
good.
at policy 443 and 444, I want to say last meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, we
good.
did both of those.
Okay.
Is it on a yearly basis?
That is not.
No.
That one's not annual.
It took 2 years to get
No,
it through this last
117 is annual, but those others are not annual reviews, no.
And that may change because it is not a typical thing that the board will have annual reviews of policy. So I know staff and the board are really trying to catch up on all of the policies and regulations right now. So I'm sure that's a discussion that the board will have, whether or not this remains annual or if it's every 2 years or 3 years or something like that. So.
443 did finally go through, right?
It did, it passed. It's passed.
Yes.
So 443 is set, the policy is set, and I guess that's something else that, for those that are wondering, the subsequent work on the regulation begins as a part of that, yes.
444 also passed, but that did not have the same level of scrutiny as I think you need that.
All right, well, thank you for your time. I'll hand it back over to Monique.
Okay, so at this moment, we're going to do the committee corner. This is a section where, this is a small committee. It has a very big impact. So you guys are stakeholders, your parents, teachers, students. As we want to know what you go through in your day-to-day with your children, your teachers, your communities, if there's anything that we need to address here that can lead further discussions, we can bring it to the education meetings. Like, you guys are the voices that we need to take notes on, comment. So this is your time if you have any life updates. But just impacting things that have happened that we like to discuss, not in detail today, but that will lead our future meetings. The floor is now yours. Anything off your chest? Okay, so everyone's hearts and minds are gathered. We don't have any pertinent things to drive us. We do have our community fair coming up in April 14th, Community Resource Fair. I know Dr. Bell sent out a request for those who would like to basically lead it. We have our platform, we have our layout, but now we need to send out our emails, start recruiting different stakeholders in the community. If someone here had not had a chance to send that email to Dr. Bell, I can write your name down now, but that subcommittee is going to start. After this meeting, we're going to get an email chain together to start meeting for that one. April is not that far away, but we have our date secured.
Is there a venue secured also, or?
Mhm.
It's gonna be at TJ again?
Now. Tried to do a TJ, didn't get the date or the time, something like that, but it should be at Walker's this year. Yep. We aren't volunteering, it's gonna be the full committee, but, if we still wanna do that, you can have an email, let me know, get that documented.
If you have connections to community partners, please let us know. And suggestions for who should be part of the resource fair. Again, please send emails and we'll continue the conversation more.
I mean, I think we have a list that Shante and everyone else that added to last year, but that if we have a timeline, we can start contacting people sooner.
Right after this meeting, the committee has been formed with everyone who sent the email and anyone whose hearts are now inclined to join. But we're sending out emails this month, trying to keep that momentum that we had last year. Subcommittee has been initiated. Okay. So our next meeting will be February 4th. We'll already have some time to get our stuff done for the community fair this month. We're planning to report on the progress for the community fair. All hands will be on deck after that. We have that February meeting, the March meeting, and then we will be there. So, time now is
Just to, because I know it's gonna, this part of the year is gonna go really fast. When do we start doing recruitment for the next year, like for people that want to join this committee for next year?
elections happen in May meeting.
The elections happen, but when does the board advertise the?
Good question. I'd have to look back and see what we did last year. Maybe March. Probably need to look at our roster and see.
We reviewed them in, like, I think we got them in May, and then it was like, we had 2 weeks to review them in June. So that's.
Maybe start a little earlier. I think we did it toward the end of the school year, maybe back it up some to give the committee more time.
And then I would just say making sure there's a targeted effort this year to, especially for this committee, to maybe do that recruitment in different languages and for different populations across the community so that we get additional representation from other groups of color in this group.
Myself, we can definitely look at the attendance to make sure everyone who is on the roster this year has been showing up, and if not, we need to make sure we consolidate that list. That way we know how many vacancies we have. Get the data out now to start prepping.
How many current members do we have right now?
Have 16 non-board members that are here. We have a list of absences, and we have regular absences, so that may not be the most up-to-date based on our protocols and regulations for this group.
Just add one thing. So if you are on the Racial Equity Committee and you do come tomorrow, please let the person at the front door sign in know that you are part of the Racial Equity Committee. And then we would like you to kind of have some community leader seating tomorrow. So if you do come, just let the person know when you sign in, and we'll make sure you're seated.
Okay. The time is 7:19. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh, motion.
Go ahead.
Motion and second.
I just saw, thank you. Motion.
Okay.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.